My wife is into sexual role-playing. I dress like a fireman, and she pretends I have a job.
I've always wanted to be a car mechanic, because I don't know anything about cars. And car mechanics always assume that if you're a bloke, you understand what they're talking about. It's so embarrassing. My car completely broke down recently. I got towed into a garage. This guy said to me, "Well, mate, your cam belt's gone, it's bent the valves, got to rebuild your crankshaft. Cost you 800 quid. Now, to me, that may as well be, 800 quid. You know, once I said to this guy, "You couldn't change the tyre for me, could you?" He said, "Can't you even do that?" Well, I lost my cool. I said, "I bet you can't reach this note."
It's all relative, though, isn't it? I mean, some people say the royals have got a tough job, you know. I mean, look at Prince William. He's a member of the royal family, and he's a student. I mean, how bleeding lazy can you get?
I have done loads of supermarket work. I have worked for Quicksave, Woolworths, Tesco's. Before that, I was on the dole. It's been glamour, glamour, glamour. And being on the dole is just difficult, isn't it? Because they just give you too many forms to fill in. Not that you fill them in, you just put a line, NA, NA, you don't know what it means, but you saw your mum and dad do it for years, NA, NA. And they ask the most stupid questions on those forms. I remember one of the questions on my form said, "Are you blind?" Or the other question I quite liked, "How far are you prepared to travel to work?" All the way.
I don't know if you hate your job, but if you do, I have a plan. What you should do is you should go into writing the taglines for movies, because some of the ones they do at the moment are unbelievably bad. I picked up a copy of The Bone Collector in my video shop the other day, and the box read, "There's a murderer on the streets. He's stalking the innocent. He collects bones, the bone collector." Now I figure if they can have that, then I can have this one, which I wrote for Unbreakable. Unbreakable. If you think he's breakable, you're wrong.
Some people do anything to get a job, well. No, I know we saw that story recently. There was a 15-year-old girl who wanted to be an air hostess, but she wasn't tall enough. So she had her legs broken, stretched, metal plates inserted so she could be tall enough to be an air hostess. Apparently, after the operation as well, she was black and blue all over. That's no good, is it? To be an air hostess, you've got to be orange.
Everybody has their own special place in this world, or they should, where everyone knows your name, where they're always glad you came. For me, that place was the unemployment office.
I left home, it was hard. I went to London, it was hard. They told me the streets were paved with gold. They weren't even paved in Acton. I had no money. I took the first job I could in Safeway supermarket. Difficult. Even the interview was difficult. She was like, "Hi, I'm Julie." Like that, just like that. "So, Miss Enright, what do you think you've got to offer?" Safeways? I'm like, "Nothing." She's like, "Great, when can you start?"
According to official statistics, 1/3 of all accidents in the workplace go unreported. How on earth do they know?
Now, the one day a year I always take off work, it's got to be Pancake Day, very important day, because it reminds us of the time when our dear Lord Jesus was rolled in sugar and squirted with lemon juice.
There's a lot of tough jobs, though, isn't there? You know, brain surgeon, Chancellor of the Exchequer, suicide bomber. That's a tough job, isn't it? Suicide. I just love to go up to one of those suicide bombers and just say, "Look, what makes you tick?"
I couldn't handle working in the customer service industry over here. I didn't even know that we can't get a postcode at our post office here. Yeah, I know. I went down there looking for a postcode. I already had the start of the postcode because I have a phone book. I just needed the end bit. And I finally got up there, and that little zitty freak on the other side of the glass, he's sitting there, he's like, "No, we can't give you the postcode here." I'm like, it's the post office, man. Get me with the What am I supposed to go to Bound Stretcher for this? Come on. No, you had to phone a special number. Well, can't you phone the number for me, man? Do me a favor, help a guy out. No, you have to go home and call. I went home and I called the friggin' number, and I swear to God, it was him that answered the phone. Have you tried the post office yet?
I don't understand how people can want to be soldiers. A few of my friends have gone into the army, and I don't understand how they actually end up working in the army. Because those army ads are so ridiculous, aren't they? You know, the one where the guy's trying to creep across the corridor, avoid the parents to get to his girlfriend. Now, that does not make him suitable to join the army, does it? If he was suitable to join the army, he'd get a gun, kill the parents. Actually, those old British army ads, I don't know how anybody was recruited from them. They're terrifying, aren't they? You know, I'd be like relaxing at home, watching TV, ad break comes on. Get off the road, kill the lights, watch the trees, shit your pants. You know, there's me on the sofa. What? You come across a ravine. If you're thinking, how am I going to get across? Don't bother calling us. Now, how far are they going to go? You're being interrogated by enemy troops. They're playing ping pong with your kneecaps. They've nailed your dick to a plank. If you're thinking, ow, don't bother calling us.
Well, there's that thing quite recently. I don't know if you saw, they were thinking of recruiting homeless people into the army. Oh, that's a bit snide, isn't it? You know, here's a bunch of people spend their lives being ignored, then you go and make them wear camouflage.
I love beggars in London. They're the laziest people I've ever seen in my entire life. They don't ask for money. They let their dog do it for them. In New York, people jump around. They dance. They sing. They pull out their CV. Everyone has a speech. I don't rob. I don't kill. I say, hey, if you don't rob and you don't kill, you don't belong in New York.
Because I get the big issue myself. You know, I do. A lot of people ignore the homeless, don't they? Like estate agents, people like that. But I buy the big issue. You know, let's go, cause it's a bit boring reading it, though, isn't it? Should liven it up a bit, you know. Put a bit of porn in it. Call it the big issue. Yeah. Help a tramp, have a wank. Only £1. Put your hand in your pocket for the homeless. Yeah.
I actually think the British Army is trying to recruit the wrong people. Because, you know, in wartime, it's seen as fine if young men and women are killed. It's an atrocity if old ladies and children are hurt. So why doesn't the army recruit old ladies and children? You know, first sign of a crisis anywhere in the world could parachute in a regiment of 5-year-olds, you know, led by Field Marshal Marjorie Yates. Her famous battle cry, "You look like my grandson. He never calls." No army could face such a force, could they? You know, the enemy would be going, "Come on, you bastards!" "Oh, hello." "And what have you got there, then?" "Oh, it's a gun." Old ladies would be impossible to torture. You'd have them strapped down. They'd be going, "Torture? Ha! You don't know the meaning of the word torture. I live in constant torture with my hips, my knees, my veins."
Jerry Halliwell went to entertain the troops during the Afghan conflict. I thought it was very brave of Jerry going in front of an audience who've got access to ammunition.
I didn't do anything when I worked in Safeways. I just stood there. I didn't do anything. Anyone asked me anything, I'd say I don't know. Customers coming up, "Excuse me, where can I find this cereal?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. Excuse me, I appear to have lost my child. I don't know." I was good. I was very good. So they moved me anyway. They moved me. I got promoted to the cafe bit, which was very good because you get to eat the food in the cafe bit if any of the food is damaged. It was good. I was 19 stone when I left. I'd be like this to my boss, Andre. I'd be like, "Andre, don't know what's happened. Someone seems to have put a fist through the double chocolate fudge cake."
In some jobs, you end up being so anal about stuff, you know, like if you work in an office or something, sometimes you don't even want to go for a shit during your lunch hour because you think, you know, I could be getting paid for this shit, you know. I could be doing this shit in my paid time. Why should I do it in my free time when I can do it in my paid time, you know? I'm a professional. I can make some dough off this. I mean, sometimes you won't even go for a whole weekend. You're like, wait, this could be a real little money earner in here.
1 in 5 people in the UK works on night shifts. The rest just play cards and sleep.
chimpanzees from West Africa can use up to 19 different tools. 19! I couldn't believe it when I found that out. That's 19 more than I can use. And it was brilliant, that piece of information. And when I, obtained it, I quickly rushed to my local zoo because there's a couple of chimpanzees there. But first, I got my nan's old moped out of the garage, because it hasn't worked for years. And I rushed up to the zoo, and I was just standing there, and it was dusk, quite dark, and I was waiting, make sure there was no keepers about, trying not to look suspicious, standing there with a moped, and a man walked past, and I went, all right? And he went, all right? And I went, what are you doing? He went, nothing. What are you doing? I went, nothing. Rubbish conversation. In fact, I was a bit annoyed, so what I did is I got a chocolate umbrella and threw it at the back of his head. That showed him. He went, ow, did you throw a chocolate umbrella in my head? I went, chocolate umbrella, come on, it would melt in the rain, you're not thinking it through. Chocolate umbrella. Oh, in fact, I got a bit cocky and went, chocolate umbrella, and all chocolate umbrellas fell out of my Mac. And I went, yeah, that might have been me. Anyway, he went, and we swapped phone numbers, and we were going to meet up. And I was there with my moped, just waiting. And what I did is I threw it into the chimpanzee enclosure and just waited by a tree. And after about 10 minutes, this massive male chimpanzee came forward, He came out of the pack, looked around. He went over to the moped, started poking it, walking around it like that. After about 5 minutes, he looked up and went, now, mate, it's going to cost you 100 quid before we even start. Get the teas on, Kev, I'm parched.
Also, I did at one point want to be a journalist, but I don't think I would have fitted in. Because if I'd ended up at war, it'd have been so embarrassing, really. Because war reporters are so tough, aren't they? They're always standing there going, about 15 minutes ago, a shell exploded just a few feet away from me. But did I flinch? Don't be stupid, I've got bollocks of steel. Back to the big pansy in the studio. I'd be so embarrassed if it was me doing that. It'd be things like, they'd be saying, right, and over to our reporter in Kandahar, Hal Cruttenden. I understand things are pretty tough there. I understand they are. That's why I'm still at Heathrow. I'm not going.
Stress will kill you a lot faster than illegal drugs will. Although there's still no rules in place to relieve it. There's just some simple things that they could do to make your life a little easier. Like, why don't they take the people that run the trains and the people who come after your taxes and just switch them? Because those people who look after your taxes are on time. There are things that aren't stressful that should be, like terms, like the term flossing. Now, that makes it sound like it's just something you could or couldn't do. They should call it getting the rotting meat out of your head.
My dad's always clinging on to his working class roots, so even though he works in an office. All his life, like he'd come home when we were younger from work, slam the door, and he'd be like, wife, run me a bath. I'm covered in biro and paper cuts.
I did like being on the dole. The good thing about being on the dole is you get to sleep. But that is all you do. Well, you might have a bit of toast to break up the day. But that's basically it. It's like sleep, toast, sleep, toast, sleep, toast. Ricky Lake, sleep, toast, sleep, toast.